Okay. Yeah. Oh, okay. Good afternoon. I'd like to welcome you all to the Psych 200 ALO pilot project presentation, and I have all of our esteemed pilot team members here who are just going to introduce themselves. So I'll go ahead and start with Linda, if you just want to say your name and your college, and we'll go on down the line.
I'm Linda Haw. I'm with Thomas Nelson Community College and worked with the next two people on the online version.
Hi, I'm Dr. Scott Debb. I'm an adjunct at Thomas Nelson and part of the online version.
Good afternoon. I'm Jenny Dozier. I am an adjunct instructor as well, and we are on the online pilot.
Jenny's name was left off the program, so we want to make sure that we acknowledge her participation. She's been very valuable.
Good afternoon. I'm Rosalind King, Professor of Psychology, Northern Virginia Community College, and we are a team of 3, and we are working on the face-to-face model for Psych 200. And I'm Larry Ewing. I'm an adjunct at Northern Virginia Community College, Loudoun campus, working on the face.
And Laura's name was also left off the program. There was only room for 5 names. So, in any case, I'm Julie Piercy. I'm from CVCC, and I worked on the hybrid course, and I'm also working to help implement the ALO across the state for all of the Psych 200 courses.
And I'm Cynthia Lofazo, also from Central Virginia Community College, and the other part of the hybrid team.
Right, so the first thing I would like to do is thank all of the pilot team members and recognize them. The first time we met, I was so overwhelmed with the amount of work that they had done and their creativity and the thought they had put into their courses. I think it's a really neat opportunity that the VCCS has presented us with. Guided by the articulated learning outcomes, we really have the opportunity to think about what we're teaching, how we're teaching it, and how we can improve. And I think the pilot teams have really exemplified that, demonstrated how this process can improve teaching. So in any case, we're starting off with just a background. For those of you who are unfamiliar with this process, how many folks in the room have heard of this articulated learning outcomes process before today? Good. So only a couple people haven't, so that's good. And so psychology was chosen as the pioneer here. We have large enrollment in our Psych 200 courses, and the course has a lower success rate than some of the other large courses. I always say that that is because everyone thinks that it's going to be like the Dr. Phil show, when in fact it's the science of the brain. So everyone with a pulse signs up for it, and then they find it to be a challenging science course. So the VCCS saw it as a good target for this process. And so we met with Dennis Avery as our fearless leader. We spent quite a bit of time going over our Psych 200 course, establishing our requisite domains, meaning the outcomes we think are most important for our students to cover. Along with that, we revised our course description. We revised our prerequisites. We actually put in a prerequisite for Psych 200, and then we have our essential elements of Psych 200 in 7 domains with 20 content areas and 89 specific learning outcomes, which does not mean that we now have a standards of learning situation in Psych 200. What we have is really a third of the course, a third of the time that would be spent in the course that is accounted for by this content. The rest of the course is still at the discretion of the instructor. And again, the most important part of this process is the opportunity for us to improve our teaching and to improve learning. So we've established a resource repository of learning objects, and that's already getting some pretty good utilization in the PsychPeer website. And we're working on our assessment plan. We're sort of, that's where we're stuck right now. That's a tricky piece, but we will be soliciting some cooperation and participation from the campuses, and we do expect that to be a fairly collaborative process. I hope there's no misunderstanding that we're going to be rolling out standards of learning, asking people to teach to the test, and then forcing the data into some quantitative resource. That's just not going to work with all the different campuses. But we do hope to be able to demonstrate that, hey, we did define what we do and how we do it. We did put some procedures in place to improve learning. And so the pilot courses then all involve the new articulated learning outcomes, and they really showcase our improvements in teaching as a result. So that'll be the bulk of our presentation today, is for the pilot teams to show you what they did in their courses. So additionally, there's a professional development plan that was identified and articulated as part of this process as well. And that professional development plan includes ongoing discussion among the peer group, et cetera, regarding the pathway for assessment and how we can continue to improve. So in March, well, actually, the pilot teams rolled out their courses. They developed them in the fall of 2012 and rolled them out beginning in the spring, for the spring semester. And we are going to be assessing them. Each pilot team is doing some assessment of their course, and we'll be providing that data to the VCCS and anyone else who might be interested. So, what's our next slide? Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to our face-to-face lecture pilot course. And here you go.
Thank you. I'm just going to provide a brief overview of our face-to-face model, and then Lara will provide the details on how we've organized the course and how we're teaching the course. So this is the two-tier face-to-face model, and we are gearing the course toward general education students and honors students. So we have an honors option attached to the course, and we'll talk about the differences in the roles of what honors students are doing in addition to the regular instructional program. So this face-to-face model meets once a week for 2 hours and 45 minutes. And it includes both traditional sorts of modes of teaching, but probably more alternative modes of teaching. And we did something else in terms of the focus of the course, and that is that we are focusing on psychology as a science rather than solely as therapeutic practice. And we're trying to broaden the students' understanding of the scope of the field and the discipline of psychology, because we want to expand the perspectives of students about psychology so that they start moving in all the other fields in psychology. There are so many other fields other than just therapy, clinical, abnormal, and the fields that most students are familiar with. So that has been the core focus of our model. And it's also in alignment with what the APA is saying is important about focusing on psychology as science. And of course, you know that the American Psychological Association is now recognized by the National Science Foundation and by the Association for the Advancement of Sciences as a science. And so we want to familiarize students with this model. Our conceptual framework has included sort of a variety of areas of focus, including looking at current research on innovations, active learning concepts, and strategies in teaching psychology. This includes scholarly-based learning. We're using the constructivist theoretical perspective and models in the construction of this course. We also have an experiential learning component because we want students to understand not only the theoretical aspects of psychology, but how psychology is applied in the real world. So there's always a connection to theory and then application. And at the end of our course, students will have to demonstrate their understanding of theoretical notions by developing an applied project that they'll have to present in a symposium at the end of the semester. We're also doing something different from the traditional mode of teaching Intro to Psych, and that is we are not using a textbook. We are using instructional technology. We're using an online psychology portal that has everything in it, and it's so exciting for students to use and to be able to interact with an interactive ebook that when you read the ebook and you read a chapter, and as you read that chapter and you're looking at concepts, you can actually get an animated demonstration of that concept, or you can see a video related to research as it relates to that concept, and it's just an exciting way to learn. In addition to that, as we thought about whether or not we're going to allow students to use the printed textbook, which is so limited, and it means that they would have to buy a lot of other ancillaries, we decided that we wanted them to only use this and not introduce the textbook and get them confused, and to help them begin to move in the direction of e-technology, because that's going to be the way of the future. And I really wish I had had that when I was in college. That would have been an exciting way to learn. So this portal has everything contained in it, and you'll see a screenshot of that momentarily. And so we're excited about that, and the portal has a lot of other components to it that Lara will talk about. We're also using problem-based learning in our model, cooperative and collaborative learning. There's a service learning component as an option for students, and again, applied practice. So that gives you a little bit of an overview of our conceptual framework for this course.
Okay. As Dr. King talked about, with our course, we are using the Myers Psych portal with the module version. And what we do is we have created multi-part lessons in each of these for the different areas of, like the cognitive sciences, the differential psychology areas, just as, as example. And they're set up there with like the readings that we suggest, any kind of interactive labs that we want them to do, any kind of related articles from the Scientific American, and things of that nature. The other thing that we have, too, connected with this, if you see up here, is also Dr. King's Psychology Network website, which is a vast, basically just has a very vast amount of information on there for the different things of related learning links, and also some interactive type of activities, just like in the portal that the students can also access. So these are the two main areas that students go to for getting their information and accessing their information products. I forgot to say one thing, if you would go back for that. We did organize the course slightly different from how the original committee had laid out the content, and I'm sure that didn't matter, but we did this for a purpose, and that is so that we could organize it in a way, because there's so many areas in the intro survey course. In psychology, we organized it differently so that we could actually cover everything, or at least give students an understanding or brief overview of all of the fields. And so
This slide is just showing you how we reorganize the course to be able to teach it in components that made more sense for a semester-long, 16-week semester-long course. And so it's not that very much different, but what we've done is we've combined some of the areas so that we're not just teaching about the biological basis of behavior separately, sensation and perception. So we call that the science of mind, as you can see. And then for lifespan development, we are using the terminology of APA, developmental science, across the lifespan. For all of the cognitive components that we've been teaching separately, we are combining them under the umbrella of the cognitive sciences. And for personality, psychological disorders, and applications, we are calling that differential psychology. And then motivation, emotion, and social interaction, social behavior. And then we've added the component of applying psychological science.
Thank you. And I think when Rosalind showed her with that previous slide, this really illustrates how what we're giving to faculty is a framework rather than a set of very strict instructions that everyone must follow. That's not the spirit of this procedure at all. So as I said, I was so inspired by the pilot team's work and how they did take the ball and run with it. And that's where we're really going to get our great teaching and our great results. We're not going to get great teaching and great results by making sure everyone follows a set of instructions to the letter. So I think that's a great example. So I'm going to pass the microphone to Cynthia. Cynthia has been teaching the hybrid course. We developed it together, but she's the instructor for the course. So I'm going to let her tell us about the work. And so here you go.
Okay, so Julie and I were tasked with developing a hybrid course. And the way that the course is structured for this particular semester, you can see quickly on the slide, the course meets twice a week. It was originally scheduled as a Monday, Wednesday, Friday course, so we meet twice a week, and then the remainder of the time is set up for students to be able to do their work online. We also elected to use the site portal. We had been using the Myers modular text previously, and the portal really seems like just a pretty amazing product to integrate reading and activities. There are lots of different pieces within the portal, such as a learning curve and a free test and a mastery quiz. And as the students are going through these different very short assessments, which is the assigned homework throughout the week, it takes them directly back into the reading on the points where they might be a little bit weaker. So it really emphasizes the reading. It forces them to read the text. And I've found that to be really workable and really helpful with this particular course. The assignments are in Blackboard and in the site portal. The majority of the assignments are in Blackboard, and I did that on purpose in order to be able to transfer the course out for the usability for anybody within the VCCS. The homework within the site portal, that remains there because it's specific to the site portal, specific to the text. But all other assignments that we've developed, there are lots of writing assignments, there are discussion boards in order to increase the interactivity of the online component of the course. All of that resides in Blackboard and is set up so that anybody would be able to navigate through it. So a variety of assignments, multiple weekly requirements, and then flexibility. And that's one of the key components, I think, of the hybrid course, is that there is some flexibility. We do meet twice a week. I try to cover some of the essential components of the course during that time. And then the rest of the time, the students are working on discussion boards, homework, and some of the various writing assignments that are set up. And the next slide. And this slide just shows you a little bit more. It shows you a little bit about how the Blackboard site works, what it looks like. You can see there's reading and homework, a variety of assignments, from a syllabus summary to make sure that they read the syllabus, to the discussion boards that you're seeing on the bottom part of the slide. The hybrid course has been a little bit interesting. The students who have signed up for this course, I don't think they knew what they were getting into, even though it was very clearly described in the course schedule. They came in, they saw the technology, and they went, what is that? What am I supposed to do with this? So working with the technical aspects of this course with this particular group has been quite a challenge. I think they've been intimidated by the technology, and they've been a little intimidated by the e-book component of that, and that's something that Julie and I are talking about and thinking about for the future of the course, is probably offering an option where they can buy a some sort of a handheld book if they choose to do so. I did run a classroom assessment several weeks ago. I asked 4 very straightforward questions: what they liked most, least, etc., about the class. And in general, the students were satisfied with the class and they liked the Psych Portal, but they are frustrated with the restriction of the e-book. And I think students are still struggling or not quite ready to move entirely over to the e-text component. I think in about 4 or 5 years we will be there, but we're not quite there yet. Answer questions. The question was, how many hours do we meet in the class, in the classroom? So it's 2 50-minute sessions, Monday and Wednesday, and the rest of the time is on their own.
Danielle, could you just come up really quickly if you don't mind? If you just want to introduce yourself and let people know how to contact you. Be great. Danielle is our publisher rep who is responsible for the Psych Portal. So she was gracious to join us in case anyone has questions about the Psych Portal. So, and I'll just let her introduce herself.
Thank you, Julie. So my name's Danielle, and I represent Worth Publishers. I work specifically with this region of Virginia. Some of you may know your other rep, Bob Hud-Stephanie, or Mike Protein, who also work in Virginia. I represent the Psych Portal that that 2 of the people here have used for their courses. So if you have any questions about the resource, if you want to get a demo, if you just want to try it, we offer all those different things. We do offer it for the Myers book, but we offer it for all of our psychology books as well. So I can either, how would you like me to give my contact information?
Are you here down at the vendor fair?
Yes, but the vendors are closing today. So
well, hurry.
You can also go to worthpublishers.com. There's a spot there where you can find your local rep. And I can, I'm sitting in the back, so I'll be here. So if you have questions, you want my information, you can come up to me back there. That is a good question. So the Psych Portal is normally about 50 to 60% less than the cost of the book. So we do 2 different accesses. You can either get it for 6 months or 12 months. Difference in price between those 2 is probably about $10, I believe. I'm going to say that access to Psych Portal is around $65, $68.99. There you go. So that would be the access, and that comes with the textbook in it as well, the e-text. We also do, and I've talked with Cynthia about this, is sometimes where you run into instances where somebody wants a physical text, we offer the ability to package a loose leaf book with the portal access code, and it usually ends up costing like $5 more than just the code would have cost. So for an extra $5, you get the book as well. So, but I'll be in the back if anyone has any other questions I don't want to take.
Oh, no, absolutely. Thank you so much. I thought it was important to make Danielle available as a resource because I don't think I've emphasized yet that these model courses are now the property of the VCCS, and they're available to anyone, you know, after this semester when they're complete, anyone who wants to use them for adoption. Of course, one of the challenges for all of the teams is to make their courses ready to be adopted and to live on henceforward. And I can't say with 100% certainty that we've worked all of the kinks out of that. You know, we are the pioneers here and the guinea pigs as well. So, but that is our goal of the project. These courses will live on as others choose to teach them, and so our course is quite integrated with the psych portal, so it would be hard to adopt it and not utilize that resource. Okay, great. So at this point, I'm going to turn it over to our third team.
Thanks, Julie. Well, Dr. Deb and Dr. Hall and I have been developing the online pilot course. So today we're going to share a little about our design, why we came to the design that we chose, and then a little bit about our delivery and how it's unique here. In terms of our design for the course, we really chose the Quality Matters program for several reasons. If you're not familiar with Quality Matters, it is a grant that was sort of started with Maryland University Incorporated, the Department of Education, and as of now, all of the members of our online pilot team have been certified as peer reviewers for Quality Matters now. So we've been educating ourselves in this process the past few semesters, understanding more about it. And we chose this model because the standards promoted in the program are nationally recognized. They are supported by best practices research and literature. And a key element of the program is an emphasis on alignment, what they refer to as alignment, which is really this strong connection between all of the course components and the student learning outcomes, so that no matter where a student is in the course, whether they're taking a quiz or simply navigating through the course itself, there has been in the forefront of our mind the reasons things are placed where they are and the types of questions being asked in assessment, the types of activities that are offered, all aligned back to the student learning outcomes. So that was a big push for us there, a big reason why we went with the QM model. Another design feature that we'll be sharing with you today is what we've been referring to as developing a menu of options for instructors to use in this course. And we're doing this to allow for maximum flexibility and customization for this course. As Julie mentioned before, the goal with these is not to sort of mandate an overall uniform structure, but to, in our case, provide some uniform components, such as the assessment that we offer and their scoring system, but also to give a menu of options for instructors to choose from. So for each content area, we have folders for instructors to choose various assignments. So 3 different discussion board activities, 3 different types of assessments, 3 different types of sort of interactive components to the course, so that there are hopefully some option there that for any preference, any teaching style, you'll be able to find some option that fits you, that speaks to your unique teaching style. We want this to be as customizable as possible. And it's important to note here that we have been implementing this and developing this to be independent of any particular text or any particular publisher's material, so that, again, it can be very much used in a widespread way. And then in terms of ease of use, we are anticipating that regardless of the instructor's experience level, from the novice instructor like myself, who's only been in the system for a few years now, to a more seasoned instructor who has been around for a while, or as one of our department heads who's not with us today would say, talking about art, don't worry, would say he's a legacy user in terms of using Blackboard for online teaching, that no matter what your experience level, you should be able to use this in a very sort of not easy way, but it shouldn't be too hard to be able to find your way around, to be able to use the course, again, in a way that meets your own teaching style. And we're actually in the development process of coming up with a sort of owner's manual or guide to using this structure for this course that will be its own component in the menu on Blackboard, just in the instructor view, so that an instructor can go into it and have step-by-step instructions on exactly how to turn certain features on or off in the course, and how to use the gradebook component. So what's Grade Center going to do for me? Maybe what do I have to enter manually in terms of the options that I've chosen to use in the course or that I've chosen not to use. So we're expecting that, regardless of experience level, this will be a very much a usable course. And Scott is going to be sharing with you a little bit about this menu option and how we're anticipating that it can be delivered.
Thank you. So that was all about the design of how we anticipated the course would be delivered. I want to talk a little bit more about the delivery process in general. So this menu approach that we've come up with, the goal with this is to give it an analogy. Imagine you go to a restaurant and there's a whole menu of options you can choose from. As the instructor, we want to have that flexibility to order anything off the menu that we want to. But as the people that are facilitating the course and instructing the students, we want to have a more refined approach to it. So we as the instructor have that flexibility to take whatever food that we want to present to the student and make that the only option for them. So with this in mind, the goal is to present the most flexibility in the design and the delivery to the instructor or the institution, whoever is making the decision as to how the course is going to appear. So the students have the opportunity to not have to worry about any of this. Because it's with QM in mind, everything is fairly seamless and it's very straightforward. There's a lot of areas where links are very apparent. It's fairly seamless for students. We have dedicated areas of the course where instructions are, not to be overly repetitive, but we present information to students who are seasoned virtual students, online students who have taken 5, 10, whatever amount of courses, as well as the student who it's his or her first time taking an online course. So that menu is really there in a number of different ways throughout the course, not just in one area. And what we're doing is we're saying to the instructor or the institution, you have that option to pick what you want, how you want to present it to students, in what order you want to present it to the students. And then with the guidance of what the ALO committee came up with the different construct and content areas, we're always ensuring that at the end, the final product which the student has received meets all the core objectives. They're always going to get all the material, all the content that any four-year institution is going to be looking for out of a student who may be transferring to them, they're fully versed in all the areas of intro to psych that they should be. That's the goal with the menu. It's the flexibility for the instructor and the straightforwardness for the student. And I know everyone can't see the screenshots here. It's not the clearest, but that doesn't really matter. The top view over here is what the student would see. This is an example of our first week. The flexibility, just to give you an example, the flexibility in our course. This is a 16-week course that's been developed for. Week 1 and week 16 are fixed. Week 1 is intro to everything. Here's the technology. Here's the requirements. Do a sample quiz that doesn't count for anything. Get used to the technology. Get used to the structure and how things are presented in the course on a weekly basis. And that's what we've done. We've broken it down into a weekly basis as opposed to units, as opposed to giving students 3 or 4 content areas at once. We have it on a weekly basis, one major content area per week, and the idea is to keep students engaged. They can't log in Sunday night and do all the work and be done for the week. They have to log in multiple times, and we having a fixed week 1 really gives them that learning curve. Well, hopefully, gives them the learning curve. We've had some issues with that as well. But they come into this online course thinking, hey, it's self-paced, we can do whatever we want. And no, that's not the case. This is a real course. You can't BS your way through it. You have to be participating. And there's enough flexibility with the design that instructors can customize it to the way they want the students to participate. Whether they want it to be discussion boards or assignments or both or neither, whatever they want, it's their option. But the student still has to be involved multiple times a week. And that's what we set up. And instructors can change that. They can change the deadlines on a weekly basis. It doesn't matter. How they want, the academic freedom is there. But in the end, in this case, each week, what will be accomplished is that the student has, hopefully, a fully versed vocabulary, if you will, with that content area. Through the assignments that we put into this template course, or this default course, the idea is it enmeshes them in the environment. It doesn't just say read the words in bold and remember them and regurgitate it for a multiple choice test. Yeah, this test is multiple choice test, is assessments, objective assessments in there as well. However, some of the assignments, whether they be a discussion board assignment, or I'll show you in a second some of the other assignments we've created, it allows the student to think critically about the material in that content area, and then from their own perspective, in their own words, not psychobabble, if you will, tell us what that means. Show us what in your life represents, social psychology or stereotypes or anything, any one of the content areas. So it's, some of the assignments that have that freedom embedded. You can see the top over here. The top part is what the student would see. They have a couple of buttons on the side here that give them start here, day one, course documents, weekly assignments. So it's fairly straightforward. And then this is day one. We just have step 1, step 2, step 3. And what it does is it's a seamless process. If they know nothing else, they can see step 1, I got to do this. Step 2, I got to do this. Step 3, I have to do this. For the instructor, it's multiple options. They can choose to put in what they want to. This happens to be a screenshot of weekly assignments. This is the stress and coping and health psych chapter, and the idea is they can pick a discussion board assignment, a couple of different discussion board assignments based on what they want. We ran out of room with the screenshot, but other assignments where it would be like a Dropbox style as opposed to a discussion board, because not every instructor cares about a discussion board. Some instructors love a discussion board. Log in twice a week and comment on everyone else's stuff. Other instructors couldn't care less. Just give me an assignment. So the flexibility is there. And the way we've created the course, the Grade Center is fully functional, fully operational. So the instructor doesn't have to keep a separate grade book. Students always know their current grade as a percentage based on a running total, and also their projected final grade. And that's all included automatically. The instructor doesn't have to do anything to set that up. Only thing the instructor would really have to do is go in and set the dates of when they want assignments to be on and off. So that's part of the flexibility with that. And then with assignments, an instructor can go in, and because it's already kind of pre-programmed in there, they can say, well, I don't like this assignment. I'm going to change it and put my own words in there. And that's all they have to do is edit the text. So if you don't like the standardized wording that we've come up with, you can edit that. And that's your academic freedom right there. However, the behind-the-scenes stuff, the Grade Center, the scoring of it, the calculating of the grading, all that's taken care of. And that's where we're saying for a more expert user, someone who's familiar with online courses and administering online courses, you can make those changes. You can go in. At another institution, maybe this is the instructor's first time teaching the course. They haven't had the top course or the idle course. They just have to go in and put the dates in, and they're done. And that's it. There's nothing else to do. So another screenshot. This would be the weekly assignment. This is what the student sees. Week 10, week 9, week 10. It's in reverse chronological order, so the newest information is always on top. And it's very clean cut and straightforward. For the instructor's view, you see there's more tabs. This is what Jen was referring to, only the faculty only, kind of an SOP document, standard operating procedure, where if you want to make these a little bit more complex changes, how you would do it step by step, for dummies, so to speak. And then all the different weeks. And what we've done is the content within each week, you can just drag, click and drag and put it wherever you want. If you want to put social psychology as week 1 or week 2, so be it. Go for it. But the content within that is the same. It's always going to relate back to the learning objectives. It's always going to go back to the content area that the student is supposed to be exposed to. And that's the bottom line. Make sure they're getting what they're supposed to. But the instructor can do it in whatever order they want. You want to take something from week 15 and put it at week 5? Okay, go for it. There's no problem with that. So that's the idea. It's fully functional Grade Center. It's flexible weekly components and multiple weekly assignments. The idea is, again, we're engaging students more than just once a week. Come in before you fall asleep on Sunday night. You have to do these things multiple times a week. You have to be participating, and how the instructor wants them, how they define participation is up to them. That's really the idea behind it.
Thank you so much, Scott. And as you were talking, it really reminded me of the idea behind these model courses It's not just, hey, look at us, we're really good at our jobs, which is nice. And again, I am really impressed with the pilot teams, but also this is so that we have a brand new instructor who has no idea how to teach psychology. That was me once. I had just finished a PhD in education, and I was hired about 4 weeks before the semester started to teach psychology full-time, and I had not looked at a psych book in 4 years, and I had 6 courses to teach. So the idea is that you could be handed one of these courses and teach a great course just right out of the box. So I think it's a great strategy for improving learning, especially since it does recognize and respect the creativity and talent of each individual instructor that may adopt the course. So I wanted to mention that, and we are going to turn it over to question and answer in just a moment. I want to briefly mention a couple of things. First of all, how many of you are psychology faculty? Okay, the peer meeting, maybe you got, the email was moved to 5:30 in Mill Mountain. It's just a half an hour. I understand that does impinge a little bit upon the social hour, so we definitely respect that and hope that you'll bring some of your social hour to the meeting, not necessarily beverages, but at least the socialization aspect. And then I want to mention the assessment piece and also really encourage you to respond with great fervor and enthusiasm when we request your collaboration with our assessment piece, which is still in its infancy. So I'm not going to say too much about what we plan to do because we don't really know yet, other than we are going to be sending out a survey very soon about what you're currently doing as far as assessment. And what I mean by that is, are you assessing the outcomes? Are you teaching some of the outcomes from this course, and how are you assessing them? It's going to be a very simple survey just to get an idea of what's being done now. And then in the fall, we'll be identifying one specific learning outcome from the scientific inquiry domain plus one additional, and we'll be asking people to assess them and then give us their results. We will not be giving you a common assessment tool. We will not expect you all to use the same assessment tool or even to do anything new. It's very likely that you'll be able to use an existing assessment, that your existing final or test to get that data. So, and we expect a fairly informal, more qualitative analysis of the data. Would you agree with that, Dennis? Right, that is accurate as well. So in any case, so I'd like to open it up for questions. And Linda has the microphone. Does anybody have questions or comments?
I was in the other meeting on
Yes.
so I was sort of taking notes and trying to decide whether I'd ask them or I'd ask you. And in view of sort of the umbrella idea behind this, what is it going to be used for? They were talking about retention rates in there. Is this going to be used in some way, and sort of coming out, I guess, for assessment purposes?
Of the individual faculty?
Yeah, I can
100% no.
I can see that happening, though. That
no, ma'am.
Okay. What about aligning? We're participating at J. Sergeant Reynolds with the Lumina grant with VCU, and the purpose of that is to align the syllabi and course objectives and so on and so on, so that they'll be happier about transfer courses. And sort of an outcome of that is that we're developing templates for each of our psychology courses. This sounds like sort of what we're doing, and it's sort of a duplication of purpose there. Are we looking at using this across the VCCS so that we have a better argument for transfer of all the courses? Or, you know, I'm trying to get a really good idea of what was the overall purpose,
sure,
and specifically where we're going with this and how it's going, what the impact of it will be, even down to choosing textbooks.
And I appreciate that question, because I think that hits on a lot of the points that I want to make sure that I do get across. And one is that absolutely there is no punitive intent that you will not be judged based on your assessments relevant to this procedure. It is not tied to your faculty evaluation. 100% no. So that is an answer to that question. Are we expecting uniform syllabi across the VCCS? No. Remember, the content that we've identified, it really is not voluntary that you include the the essential domains. 6, okay. The essential domains are not discretionary, but they only account for 1/3 of your course time. And how you teach them and how you assess them is up to you. What we want to avoid is having someone come in, because we had this at CVCC. At one point we had an instructor who would teach Freud and dreams, showing up for 2 of 3 scheduled classes per week and for about 20 of these scheduled 50 minutes and call it a semester, you know, in the same sweatsuit throughout the semester. So that's just a side note. You should have at least 2 outfits for a teaching class, but a Monday and a Wednesday. But in any case, that's what we're trying to avoid. We are not going to a model where everyone has to teach the same syllabus. And I do understand the pressure that, you know, the accounting folks have talked about, or is it the bio folks who their courses are no longer being accepted accounting. So we don't want to get in that situation, but to be preemptive against that, we are not going to a uniform syllabus. We're not going to uniform assessments. We're not teaching to the test. We're encouraging our faculty to improve their teaching. We are requiring 1/3 of the content be from these domains, but we're encouraging people work together, use the resource repository, come to the peer meeting, talk about what worked and what didn't work, talk about what strategies worked for you. You know, look at the model courses. Is there a piece of them that you might be able to use in your teaching? And to start the communication, Marty made the comment in his presentation that just having these conversations about the learning outcomes that we're teaching and the outcomes that we're getting is progress. So, and there is that line, where does the pressure to produce hard data that we're doing what we say we're doing, how does that come in? We want to demonstrate that, but you know, we're not going to one uniform thing. Did you have a comment, Laura? Yeah, you have to use the mic because we're live streamed.
Okay. I just wanted to say that I do think that the AOL committee has done a wonderful job in terms of trying to create uniformity and yet flexibility. That was not in the past, given all the topics that were available. And I also think that I did come in late, but seeing what I've seen, it looks like you guys are allowing for that instructor individuality, relating to some of the concerns that people have, and this is coming from an outsider who's somewhat in the loop too. You know, a lot of it was for, I think, that part of the purpose of a lot of these outcomes and focusing on outcomes and identifying important outcomes, make sure everybody covers, is in part to help make sure that our courses are transferable, that we maintain credibility. Because there are some instructors, not just new instructors, but often new instructors, who aren't sure what is important to cover. Like, what do I absolutely have to cover? And yet, every instructor has certain strengths and areas of interest. And I think the way things have been set up have allowed for that individuality. And it's basically created more for guidance and to help improve.
I would agree with that, and I just wanted to point out that not only are we following the learning objectives that you outline in your committee meetings, but we've also compared them with the American Psychological Association's outcomes. We pulled those out specific to topical areas, and we've actually written some additional outcomes based on how we teach and the types and levels of students that we have. so that I know that many of the learning outcomes came from the high school model at APA. We have added to each of the domains some more advanced learning outcomes related to our community college students. So I'm sure that you will have that flexibility, and faculty will have that flexibility to do that. And we will be outlining that when we submit our final report and when we develop an instructional model that others can use as an example of how they might develop their course.
Great, thank you. Any other questions or comments? Yes. So the question was, can we use this in Maryland? And yeah, that'll run you. Yeah, we'll talk after. It can be bought. Yes, Laura, did you have another question?
Yeah, this is actually a question. I know that the ALO team has tried to work out a way to allow for update changes to the whole system. APA is going to be coming out with new recommendations.
And a new DSM.
And a new DSM, but that's separate from the recommendations.
Right. Yeah.
Have they worked? I remember reading the report, and I know there's some ideas on how we're going to work this whole updating process. Has there been any discussion on how some of these courses may end up getting updated in the future?
Dennis, do you want to respond to that question?
Yeah.
I don't know if it's that we don't know or if I don't remember. No, I mean that with all seriousness. If I could pull up there's a document, and as a matter of fact, it's sort of in response to Linda's question. Within the document, it says specifically, for example, if my memory serves, this is not to be used for faculty evaluation. So that was part of the had something in policy on updating. I remember what it was. Yeah.
I remember.
Oh, well, and I'll look for that. I've got the document, but I don't know that I'll be able to find it in the same aloud here. But that is one of the challenges of this whole process, the pilot projects. Who's going to continue to update them? How is the process going to continue to live? That's something that we've been talking about informally today. That's one of the challenges. And I think we need to continue to bring those concerns to the peer group. So it's good that you're here. I think we definitely need to involve the peer group in the process because, again, the goal is for all of us to improve as teachers and to rely upon one another as resources. We have just amazing dedication and talent in our faculty. We need to really rely on that. So do I have all the answers as far as exactly how we'll continue to update this? I don't. The final report is available on the peer site, right? So, okay. Oh, the pilot courses. Oh, yeah, we don't know. Yeah, that's easy. Yeah, we don't know.
What we've decided is that we're going to do a second pilot in the fall semester. And what we're doing with our implementation this semester is we're making notes on everything. We're making comments on how we're doing it. And then we're also debriefing and talking about recommendations on what we need to add or what we need to change. In the fall semester, we're going to try it again, the same model, general education students with an honors option, and we're going to run through it again and try to finalize it. So that's what we're doing. We're not under a grant to do that, but we just feel it's important to try it again and to polish the model. And so we'll definitely share that.
All right, any other questions? Questions maybe we know the answers to, preferably. Just kidding. Well, I really thank you all for being here. We're just about out of time. I encourage you to contact any of the pilot team members should you want more information, and we look forward to seeing you at the peer meeting. 5:30 to 6 in Mill Mountain.